it's definitely like an easy business model to get into. Like honestly, any home service in general.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another edition of the Truth Talk podcast. Today I'm joined with Louis. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for the people who might not know you.
Yeah, so my name's Louis. I'm just turned 18 years old and I run a home service business. On the side, what I do is I help other people, other teenagers do the same thing. Yeah, I saw Zach's podcast. I saw one of his original ones, been following him for a bit, and I like what he's doing, so happy to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for coming on. So for those of you who
Thank
don't
you.
know, Louis, you've pretty much scaled it close to 10K in terms of for your home service business, or
Yeah, so the biggest month, and this was just window cleaning. It's like I'm saying home services, but the only services that I'm offering right now is window cleaning during like the spring and summer, and then Christmas light installation, like temporary,
Hmm.
in like kind of November, December, and then I'll be taking lights down in like early March. And then yeah, so my biggest month was this summer. It was about like 12K in
Wow,
profit from window cleaning.
awesome. And how did this all start? Like this is kind of an odd thing to get into. How did you end up getting into it?
Like window cleaning?
Yeah, window cleaning.
Yeah, yeah. So this was my second season doing it. My first season, it was kind of like an entry season, getting my foot in the door. I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't have I was just watching YouTube videos, stuff like that to learn.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was good to get my experience up. But yeah, so my first season, the way I got into it was probably about February, and I was hanging out with all my buddies, and we were like, yo, like we actually gotta lock in. We gotta start making money. We were thinking of ways. We were thinking like we could like try and host events, like concerts and stuff and sell tickets, but like we were like 15, 16 back then, so it would have been like really complicated. And then uh my friend's dad was like, you start window cleaning. Like back then I thought window cleaning was just like vinegar and newspaper just scrubbing windows. So I started looking into it. I was like, oh, you can do it with a mop and squeegee, and then there's other methods. So I was like, dude, I'm down. And then yeah, in April of 2022, I put up a few flyers downtown. I got a few calls, and then I got my first job, which was a storefront on a bike store.
And
Yeah.
so how much were you charging for that? And like what so I guess the idea came from your dad and it was kind of like you and your friends kind of did it or
Friend's dad.
friend's dad?
I know he gave us like a bunch of ideas, but for some reason, window cleaner really resonated with me. I didn't really know that you could charge for it, make money. Yeah, I was just kind of YouTubed it, and I saw it was an actual thing. So that first job, I definitely undercharged it. It took me a long time. But I charged $100 for the whole storefront, and it took me about 3.5 hours.
Wow. Yeah, and
So
and did you just go in with like what tools did you use for that? Like is it easy to get started doing that sort of thing or
yes, sir, man. Yeah. I'm glad you asked because like you can actually you get going with like $50. Like back
Mhm.
then, I went to Home Hardware. It's like a basically like Home Depot, but here in Canada. Um, like $50. I think my dad actually bought me the equipment back then. Got a mop, a squeegee, some basic towels, some dish soap, and a bucket, and then also like an extendable pole.
Mhm.
So it was like $60, maybe 70, $80 of equipment. Um, and yeah, I mean, that was my first job. I'd cleaned a few windows on my own home. So it took me a long time. I left a lot of streaks, but
Yeah.
you
I mean, I
gotta
guess
learn.
you start getting better at it over time, right? And I guess so you put up an
Exactly.
advertisement, you kind of put up a poster and then people started calling you or how did that work out?
Yeah, I mean, I actually have them. Like I can show
Yeah.
you the actual OG flyers.
Let's see.
Yeah, so this is the OG flyer. I just printed it at my school, 4 of these on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
um, and then just threw them up around town on like poles and stuff, and got a
Oh,
few calls.
yeah. And like, you didn't even put a price or anything like that? It was just kind of like, oh, like if you're interested in this, like I can do it. That's
Exactly. Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
guess like was that your first sort of business or had you done something previously? I mean, I know you mentioned you wanted to do like the concert thing and that. But is
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
anything else you did?
First, like my first steps in entrepreneurship were when I was probably like 13, 14, 12, 13, 14. But we actually have like a community market here.
Mm,
So I had a stand there where I had like a blender. I'd put frozen fruit in the blender and then it'd come out as ice cream. So I was selling that.
mm.
Um, but yeah, that was like, I think I was probably like 10. A lot of help from my parents, but it was
Yeah.
good to get into it.
Yeah, I guess it's a good way to get started in kind of your entrepreneurial journey, right?
Yes,
So I
sir.
guess now I want to ask you kind of how did you start posting on Instagram? How did that whole
Yeah.
like social media venture start?
Yeah. I mean, uh like I first started posting on TikTok
Mm,
and then it started doing quite well there. So I was like, okay, let's get into Instagram. Might as well, right?
mm,
Because I already have the videos made. But that started, I think, about May last year. Because I always kind of knew that like if you're doing something, you might as well post it on social media.
yeah.
Might as well gain an audience, a following. Because there's a lot of stuff you can do with that after. So I posted, I got like very like I don't believe in luck,
Mm,
but I kind of like chance. I interacted well with chance. And
mm,
like on my second or third video, I got 8 million views. And it was just like a video of me. I was like, yo, here's how to clean a window so you can make $1,000 a day. And I just showed people how to do it. So off the bat, yeah, I got a lot of traction. I was like, cool, let's keep doing this.
yeah.
And then it kind of went from me kind of just showing like, here's how I made $300 after school today. Videos like that into more like, here's how to get going.
Mm.
More like educational stuff.
Yeah, because I'm sure a lot of people want to learn, how do I even get into this? How do I get started? Because I think a lot of it too is sort of you got to interact with people, right? And a lot of people are afraid to kind of put themselves out there. Would you say that was
Mhm.
like a problem with you like getting started or
Like on social media?
on social media in person? I mean, I know you have to like talk to people to get them like, I'm
Yeah.
sure you do like door knocking and that sort of thing as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean a big way that I get clients is door knocking, mostly door knocking and Facebook ads.
Mm,
And then also kind of just word of mouth and being known. But yeah, it's definitely like at the start, it's like everything, right? Like when you first do something and you don't know what you're doing, something new, whatever it is, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're not going to know what you're doing. But the more you do that, the more you understand how it works. And then it becomes clockwork. There's actually, I forget what part of the brain, but the more you do something, there's like actually a part of the brain that turns it into a habit.
mm,
When you do something a
yeah.
certain amount of times.
Yeah, there is something to be said for habit building and that sort of thing because a lot of people, they bounce around and they do all these different business models. Like I've seen in your videos calling out people who've done SMMA, who've done stuff like that. It's like I guess you
Mm,
just kind of have to pick something and kind of stick with it, build a habit with it, and kind of go with
mm.
the flow with that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was kind of like that. I was actually in the OG Hustlers University
Mm.
like 2 years ago. So I learned copywriting there. Like if I put enough work into it, I probably could have made money with it, but
Mm.
I know
Yeah,
I guess gave up on that. I tried drop shipping, like print on demand.
yeah.
Um, I tried running like an agency where I was like trying to resell digital stuff with Fiverr. Um, yeah, I mean, all of these things could have worked, but like if you choose something and you actually lock in on it, like anything can work. Um,
I kind of agree with that because I mean, you have to have some sort of a solid idea, but if it's proven, it's just a matter of time, right? It might take, a month, it
exactly.
might take a year, right? You don't know. It's just
Yeah,
time and effort, right? Um, so I
exactly.
guess why did window cleaning kind of like resonate with you? Was it kind of just like, you feel like it could have been easy? Was it, I mean, what was the reason behind it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like an easy business model to get into. Like honestly, any home service in general. Because like especially window cleaning, there's like very limited like gear that you need to get into it. There's like a very low barrier to
Barrier to
entry.
entry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So a lot of I personally think it resonates with like I think that's also one of the reasons why like my social media started doing well is because other teenagers realize like, yo, I only need $50 to get into this. I
Yeah.
can start making
Mm.
two, three, four, $500 the next day. So yeah, I mean, also one of the things that I had with like online businesses was like because I was under 18, there was complications with Stripe, signing up for all these things.
Yeah.
But window cleaning, it was just like, yeah, it felt like clockwork. Started to understand it. Getting jobs was easier than landing SMMA clients, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think there's a lot to be said for like in-person work rather than online because everyone wants to make money online, right? There's tons of
Mm,
people out there, they all want to, work from online. And I mean, me personally, like I want to work online, right? Eventually, I think that's where it's going to go, right? Building a personal brand, get monetizing attention, doing, whether it's the agency, whether whatever it is, right? I think online is the way to go. But to start out and work like in person, I think it's good. It's a good skill to have, honestly. Because
yeah,
it's different when you talk to someone online, right? Like on a podcast, right? I mean, we can have a very good interaction, but if we're in person, it's probably a different sort of conversation. It's a different, like, there's more facial expressions. There's different things that you have to learn to interact with people in person, right?
definitely. And also one of the things with like online business is like I love like online business. I think it's awesome. You can
Mhm.
make money from wherever you want in the world, but the thing with it is that you're competing. This is kind of what I realized when I was trying stuff like copywriting. You're competing with everybody in the world for a small um for like a small amount of clients. Whereas when you choose something
In
like
person. Yeah.
anything like in person, like a home service business, you're competing against the few people in your town for the people in your town. So there's much yeah, I just think it's less of a competitive market. So it's easier to get into.
Yeah. And I mean, in comparison to the amount of people that are doing copywriting, there's probably less people. Like if you do probably the ratios, it probably works out to be better to do something in person, right? But in terms of scalability, I think that
Mm.
online is probably the best way to go with that sort of thing. But it's interesting,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because I mean, people, doing that home service stuff might resonate with a lot of people, right? It might be something that's like, okay, I can really do this. I can really get started. It's tangible, right? It's right there. Online
Mm,
business, you might not see a result for, you know, X amount of time. You might get results and then just drop off, right? You don't know. There's a lot of variables with it, right? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I know, but I do think like online, it's like much easier to scale.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's more like click and play when you want to grow.
Yeah. So what are you currently doing in terms of like business? Is it just the window cleaning? Are you doing like, the teaching thing? I know you mentioned you do some teaching and that sort of thing. What are you currently doing?
Yeah. I mean, right now it's mostly I'm getting ready to take down Christmas lights.
Mhm.
Because yeah, what I do is put Christmas lights up before Christmas, and then we maintain them over a couple months, and then I'll be taking them down pretty soon. Window cleaning season is going to start. Obviously, you can't do it in the winter time because the water freezes on the glass, but it's going to start in about a month, I'm hoping. So I'm
Mhm.
getting ready for that, making sure all my machines are running, ordering parts I need so that when it starts, I can just click play, hit up all my old clients, start getting jobs, start getting that money coming in. But then, yeah, I'm also doing a bit of teaching, trying to help other people start. Um, yeah, so that's kind of something I'm doing on the side that I've been working on quite a bit recently.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, you might need to move down here to Houston just because we don't have the whole ice and all that, so you can work year round here. Just with that,
Yeah.
we don't have all that. And wait, so y'all still have Christmas lights up and everything? Or
Yeah, I mean they'll be coming down pretty quick, but um I'm kind of just following like the city puts up lights on like
hmm,
government buildings and trees and stuff. So I'm just gonna take them all down when they take them down.
hmm.
Yeah, I just think that that's easier for my clients.
Oh wow, it's crazy that y'all still have them up because here they've been down for probably. at least a couple weeks. But yeah, no, people
Really?
take those down
That's
pretty
pretty cool.
quick. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so what's kind of your goal with it? Like, is there like an end goal? Are you trying to scale it up, move? I mean, what's the end goal with it?
Yeah. I mean, the end goal, like obviously, I do think you should have goals. Um, yeah. I mean, I don't have like a set goal. Like it's
Well, I mean,
always gonna be
where do you
kind of
see
moving.
yourself in terms of like, okay, like I would like to be, maybe I can move like in terms of aspirations, right? Like I'm not want to saying like, oh, in a
Yeah,
year,
yeah.
where are you going to be, right? Because so many things can change in a year, so many things can happen. But like, if it all goes to plan, right? And you're still doing window cleaning or whatever, do you want to like maybe expand to another city? Do you want to move online? Do you want to start a community? Do you want to do like what do you kind of see
Mm.
yourself going with it?
Yeah, I mean, with my actual home service business, the goal this year I have a goal to scale to 3 vehicles by kind of like June, July-ish,
Mm,
3 full-time vehicles. But like the longer term goal, like in the next like 3-ish years, is to get the business to a point where the business it's doing its thing. I've got a manager, I've got someone hiring people, firing people, quoting jobs, getting paid, and that business can just work by itself while I work
mm,
on other stuff, whether it's social media, whether I want to get into real estate, whatever it is. But yeah, I want to have the business as something that can work for itself. So that's like one of the goals in like these next 3-ish years. And then
yeah.
for now, the goal with social media is just like, because I mean, I was in the position that I know like a lot of teenagers are in right now, where it was like, I bought these courses, I tried the online stuff, nothing clicked. And then when I tried Windows, it was like the first thing that actually worked for me. So the goal with it is, I mean, help as many people start. Um,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
help other teenagers that were in the position that I was in like 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I mean another thing is I mean this is an interesting way of looking at it, but a lot of people when you're doing an online course, right, they don't give away all the information just because they're creating
Mhm.
potential, people who might compete against you or do their job for them, right? And at the end of the day,
Right.
like when you're helping people, right, you're giving them all the information because they're not really competition to you, right?
Right.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
the best thing about that model, right? That you can apply this anywhere, right? And it doesn't really affect you in terms of what you're doing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess what is your goal with like social media and that sort of thing? Like, where do you see it going? Do you see yourself maybe going to YouTube and doing like more long form stuff like tutorials or something like that, or no?
I mean, I do have a YouTube right now. I'm definitely not as active on it as I am on like Instagram and TikTok and stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, right now the whole social media is all focused around teaching
Yeah,
and
teaching.
showing home services and stuff like that. Maybe in the future, yeah, once I grow more, once I get that business, like I said, moving by itself, maybe it'll, yeah, turn into more of
Yeah,
like I don't know, less home services. But for now, it's like the goal is just, yeah, push home services, show people what's possible, help as many teenagers out as possible.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's cool. Yeah, and I mean, I guess would you be looking to like move into doing like a community or something like that, like maybe like a Discord or something like that, where like all these people
Yeah.
can
I mean,
interact?
I had a Discord like this past season, which was doing really well. It was a free Discord. We had like 1,000 members at the peak. Um, I mean, there was people in there interacting, talking about their wins. I don't know, it's just a great community. And then when the windows cleaning season kind of faded out, that slowed down. Right now, I'm working on actually creating a school community, which will be
Mhm.
launching in like these next few days. I'm going to be pre-launching it. Because yeah, I definitely like the community model where you can help multiple people at once, and where people can help each other and really build that community. So yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. And then I
Yeah,
also have like more of a back end mentorship where it's like more one-on-one, less
higher
diversified
ticket.
attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's really cool because I've seen so many people moving towards like the community side of things, the sort of like,
Mhm.
like interaction to building the sort of place. I mean, I've seen like I don't know if you saw like Alex Hermosi just bought into school. And
Yeah, yeah.
that's huge, right? Because a lot of people, I'm not the biggest fan of school. Like I'm okay with it, but I'm still not like totally sold on it. I don't know why. Maybe it's
Yeah.
the interface or something about it. It just doesn't appeal to me as much.
I
But
mean, I
yeah,
think the really nice thing about communities is like you can cater to multiple people at a low price and still give a lot of value. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah. And another thing about the communities is that interaction side of things, right? Like, because you're given the value, right? But then you're also able to talk to people who are doing the same things as you and be like, okay, well, I'm doing this. It's not working. Like, can you guys help me? Because there might be more specifics than just the information
Mm,
that you can give out, right? Um,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So,
definitely.
so that leads me into my next question. What would you tell someone that's just trying to start up, right? They have nothing to do that they want to start making money. What would you tell them to do?
Get into home services.
Mm,
Pick up like whatever you do. Doesn't have to be window cleaning. You can use your parents' lawnmower, walk around, knock doors, offer lawn mowing. You can get a leaf blower, go blow, yeah, do gutter cleaning, whatever it
mhm.
is. Get a pressure washer. But I mean, I think home services are a great way to get into entrepreneurship, especially as a teenager. I mean, you can start like basically any home service for like under a couple $100. You can start making money. There's high demand basically wherever you live, especially if you're in Canada or America.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, that's what I would say. Get into home services. And then you can also learn like the business aspect. Like I've learned so much about like how to register a business, how to get insurance, how to do taxes, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I just think
Yeah.
it's a great way to enter the world of entrepreneurship as
Are
a
you
young person.
currently managing a team or anything like that?
Not right now. I had one guy like kind of part-time in the summer. But yeah, I mean right now it's kind of off season, so it's just me. Then I had a guy
Mhm.
helping me put up lights and I'll have someone helping me take them down. But yeah, for now it's just me.
Yeah, do you want to move into trying to build out a team or something like that or no?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the goal this season is, like I said, scale it to three vehicles.
Mhm.
Um, three vehicles will probably be like three, four guys full time working for me.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's definitely one of the short-term goals.
Yeah, and do people around you kind of like know like in terms of like you go to school and stuff, do people know like what you do and that sort of thing or is it kind of like not very many people know or how's that
Yeah, yeah.
interaction?
Yeah, I mean, I live in like a fairly small town.
Mhm.
So I mean, people know when my TikTok blew up like back in May, people kind of like realized that yeah, I run a home service business. So yeah, people know. I think
Yeah.
it's good. Boost the business, so
Yeah. I
not
mean, have you
against
struggled with
it.
that at all? Because I've talked to people who have had like personal brands and stuff like that, and they're not like a fan of everyone knowing about it and that sort of thing.
I mean, I couldn't care less. Like,
Yeah.
I honestly enjoy it. You know, there's obviously you're gonna have haters, um, but it's all for the best, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting because I kind of feel the same way. I'm like, I don't really care. Like, yo, like I'll laugh at
Yeah.
myself. Like if it's funny, then I'll laugh. Like I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like I'm making
Yeah,
money or whatever else. Like a personal brand or whatever. The podcast. Especially at school and
exactly.
stuff. People always say
You're making
stuff.
moves, right?
Yeah, exactly. Um,
No, yeah. I mean, I would say like it's inevitable. And like I can't remember who said this, but if you don't have haters and people telling you to stop, whatever, you're doing the wrong thing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you got to have those people trying to bring you down. Like I don't have a whole lot of them, but yeah, they're definitely there. But I think it's all for the best, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I saw something. It was like it's cringe until it's not cringe, right? Until you're
Yeah.
making the money, until you're actually doing it, and then everyone's like, oh, can I help you with this? Can I do this? You know what I mean? Like it's like okay, now like it's shifted a little bit, right?
Mm.
Even like right now, like I've only got like 100 something followers on Instagram, and it's like
Yeah.
already people like are asking me like, oh, like why are you doing this? Like, what is it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how can I help you? Like, why are you doing this, right? So it's
Yeah.
interesting, right? Think
No, and
that's
you really got to feed off it, you know?
yeah,
Because
I
like
agree.
it's so simple. You can either let that stop you, let that bring you down, let that slow you down, take the normal route that everyone else takes, or you can ta- take that and be like, dude, let's fucking go. Like, bring me more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. One bad thing though, in terms of social media for me has
And
been that
it'll just elevate you.
yeah. What I was gonna say is one bad thing that, I've noticed is that like a lot of my friends have sort of like my audience is now targeted towards my like school and it's like that's not the target audience for me.
Yeah.
I'm sure that for you that's probably good because it's like, that's your area, right? You're trying to target the people around you. And then I guess it's kind of different because you're doing the teaching sort of thing, right? So it's a little bit different.
Mm, yeah.
You probably want to target more people around the US and Canada and that sort of thing. But if you were doing it for your business, you'd probably want it to be targeted in your area, right?
Hmm.
Anyway, it's interesting though.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember like right when that first, because like my first few videos, it was like no one in my town saw them and stuff. And then right when that third one started blowing up, it was people who live in my town who were starting to like it up and follow me. And I was like, oh shit, like
Yeah.
I didn't really want this at first, but it's like inevitable.
Now.
And then the video
Yeah.
did one. I mean, I think people got to know, right?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. So, I mean, I guess going back to kind of when you first started doing this, right? How did you like learn to do it? Was it like those YouTube videos? Was it like you just trying it out? Or what was like the main way that you learned how to do the window cleaning and the all the stuff that you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's like very straightforward, so there's not that much to learn. Like,
Hmm.
all you got to learn is what gear do I need to get? How do I actually clean a window? And how do I get clients?
Hmm.
Um, so it's very straightforward. I watched like a few YouTube videos. I definitely watch too many YouTube videos. I find that's like a big problem. People just keep watching these videos, trying to
Yeah.
learn. But I mean, the most important part is like actually taking that knowledge and doing something with it. So yeah, I mean, I watched a few videos, like I said, put these flyers up, got a few calls. Um, yeah,
Yeah, no, I definitely have noticed that as well, where it's sort of like all these people are watching these videos, they're trying to learn, but it's like you never actually take action on it. And I've fallen into that trap as well, where you're just watching these videos, you're learning, but you're not really like doing
yeah,
anything with it, right? You just have the information. At the end of the day, if you don't do anything with it, it doesn't matter, right? Um, yeah.
mm,
Um, so I
yeah.
guess in terms of how to get your first like client, right? Is that something that you kind of struggled with? I mean, I know you put up the flyers and you got a couple calls and that's kind of how you got started. But is that what you would tell someone else to do? Kind of put up flyers and do it that way or go door to door to start?
Yeah. Yeah, I would honestly shy away from flyers. Like if you're gonna do flyers, just run Facebook ads instead.
Mhm.
Like the money it'll cost you to print the flyers is probably similar to the money it would cost you to launch Facebook ads and reach the same amount of people, except
Mhm.
instead you won't be walking around sticking them on poles. Um, so I mean, you can do flyers, but I don't recommend them. If you're just starting, just go out with a mop and squeegee bucket, soap, knock on doors in your neighborhood, and just pitch your services.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
I
I think
think door
that's
knocking is like a great way to get into it. Yeah, especially for you guys.
yeah, I think that's probably I mean, as much from what I can tell, I think that's probably how I would start if I had to do it, if I was trying to get into it, I probably would go door to door and do that sort of thing. Um, But yeah, a lot of people don't really have that sort of that they don't want to put
Mhm.
themselves out
And then
there. You know what I
you
mean?
also get to learn sales, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in-person sales as well, right? Which is different over online. Like I know we mentioned that, but it is a big factor, right? It's different than doing a cold
Hmm.
call, right, where you're over the phone.
It's different, but it's like it's got the same basic.
Hmm.
Uh yeah, the
Yeah.
basics of selling is like, yeah, it's pretty similar.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess before we kind of wrap it up here, I did want to ask you this. What are your thoughts on passion, working for your passion or working for what makes the most money? Did you hear that?
I mean, yeah, not this.
Think the
I
Wi-Fi is
would
cutting out a
say
little bit.
like the goal shouldn't be money.
Hmm.
The goal shouldn't be money. Because I do think there's like something more important than just making making that money, you know?
Mhm.
Like there's bigger, more important parts and things in life than just making money. So I do think passion should come before the money. And
Interesting.
anyway, if you're in entrepreneurship and you're doing it for the money, you're not going to make money. Um, yeah, you got to try and bring value and stuff, but I do think you should figure out what you're good at. Um, think of what you've always been good at, and then try and do something that has to do with that. Because, yeah, I mean, you'll partially enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
Um, but then also you'll be naturally good at it because it's something you've always done. So yeah, I would say, I mean, focus on stuff you actually enjoy doing, um,
Yeah.
as opposed to just focusing on making that money because it'll make the money easier to bring.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that in a sense as well. I think that is it's important to know what you're good at and kind of go off of that, right? But yeah, I mean, I think we've been on here for a little more than half an hour.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, is there anything else you want to tell to the audience watching this or anything you want to say?
Yeah. I mean, I would say like I'm not in a position to give out advice. I think everyone can give out advice, but I'm not that I don't have that much experience, but like I do notice things. And I mean, I would say like most people watching this podcast are probably going to be in their teens and stuff.
Yep.
Focus on being well-rounded, you know? Don't purely focus on money. Don't purely focus on gym. Like I see a lot of people, gym is all they do. Yeah, I mean, learn to make money, uh, work on your like do sports, work on your physique, learn how to fight,
Mhm.
um, work on your willpower, all this stuff. I think it's like really important to be well-rounded as opposed to just focusing on one thing. Because yeah, I think there's more in life than just making money. So don't focus on everything, but focus on being well-rounded, being a good person, and yeah, things will come together.
Yeah, I think that's awesome advice because I don't really hear that a lot on all the podcasts. They're all like, oh, focus on a skill or something like that. It's interesting that you do say, be well-rounded, right? So, for those of you who want to go
Yeah, I
follow
mean, don't
Louis,
like,
go ahead.
I would say like, yeah, don't like diversify your to anything,
Mhm.
but like I said, don't be single laned in one
Yeah,
thing. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, I completely understand. So for those of you who want to go follow Louis, all his stuff is going to be in the description of this video. TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. It'll all be in the description of this video. And thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.